Episode 144 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/the Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Sergeant Turtle. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 144 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am your host, Dilz, and with me is Mr. Magpie.
Hey, yo, how's it going?
So it's been a few weeks. Things have been busy on my end, but we have quite a bit to talk about.
It has. It's been ages, dude. It feels like I haven't heard your voice in almost a month now.
It honestly, it has been about that long too, and I've just been so busy with stuff. I'll get into it in a second, but Magpie, what are we going to talk about this episode? We have a lot of big updates that have happened.
Yeah, we've got a lot of poll blogs, not so much in the big game, in the actual game, but Jagex has decided the one break that we take to basically pound their news archive with poll blogs and updates and stuff like that. So we're going to be going over PvP polls, changes to PvP polling, and bounty hunter and last man standing rewards. Those are just going to be in one big section. RuneFest announced its schedule, or Jagex announced the schedule for RuneFest, I should say. So they've described what's going to be going on. And then lastly, just a bunch of small game changes, fixes, and little bits and pieces, just preparing us for the upcoming update, which is taking place in a few days, which is the Fremennik Exiles quest.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for that.
Hell yeah. And they also announced the results for the poll blog that we last covered for the Fremennik Exiles.
Right.
But other than that, I feel like there's so much that's gone on in our personal life. What has been the word with you, first of all?
Well, there's one thing I do want to tease, because I did see this and I had to do a double take, but the new game mode, Leagues, was introduced.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget about that? Yeah, 100%.
And then there's probably a bunch of community chatter, but one of them has to do with third-party clients. I know you know all the details about that. I've just been seeing bits and pieces of it, we will get into that shortly. But yeah, so it's been a few weeks. Yeah. Do you want to dive into what you've been up to?
I did move in. I moved into a new place, started a new job. It was super last minute, crazy down to the wire. I called my leasing office and I was like, I'm good to move out by closing hours tomorrow, right? And they're like, no, you have to be out by 8 a.m. I was like, oh, okay, thank you, have a good one. And then I hung up and I was like, fuck, shit. I have so much to pack still. So I just basically woke up at 4 a.m. on 2 hours of sleep, finished packing everything, and then just hauled ass out of there. So that was fun. And then I started a new job. My new location's nice. My apartment, ups and downs, you know how it can go, but the actual location wise, it's so nice. And I actually I went out just last weekend, and I bumped into Post Malone because he was performing here.
You bumped into him on the streets?
In a bar, actually, yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Crazy. Yeah, he's super shy, actually. You'd be amazed how shy he is. He gives off that vibe, but, I was just talking with a friend at the bar, and, a massive smile comes on her face as someone walks past her, and I turn to look, and I just see, tattoos on tattoos.
Yeah, he's very distinct looking.
Yeah, he kind of looks, he has that weird, curly hair, slightly, rough, scruffled look to him, and so she's just oh my god, Post Malone just smiled at me, and I went, yeah, I know who that is, relax. And then we spent we hauled ass from where we were standing to where we were sitting to his part of the bar. And
now when he's in the bar, is he getting flooded by a bunch of different people?
Well, that's the thing, is he had security detail. The motherfuckers were I probably shouldn't swear as much, but they had the tortoise formation in ancient Rome, where they had shields all around. Moving and that's exactly how it was. So he was flanked by 2 security guards, one in front of him, one behind him. But then his opening act was there as well, and he was he was having the time of his life. He was walking around chilling. There was a bunch of fans trying to get Post's attention, but then they settled for That dude. I actually like listened to the guy's music, Tyler Yahweh or whatever his name is.
Okay.
So I went up to him. I was like, "Yo, I know everyone's trying to get like with post, but I just want to say I really dig your music." And then like I very wisely like Googled his name, Googled some songs, and I found like his oldest hit track. I was like, "Dude, Wildlife is so good." He was like, "No way, you know that song? That's so old." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm a fan since day one." And he was like,
sick.
"No way." So yeah, I got a picture of him.
Nice.
But Post was like really shy. He just like ordered a drink and wanted to be by himself. So
that's fair. Especially, imagine if you're like an introverted person and then you're like a celebrity, especially like with rap and hip hop. Like you probably get flooded with so many people, and you're like, if you're an introvert, you're like, man, I don't really want to talk to like I don't want to talk to anyone, let alone a crowd of people screaming at me. That's not even a conversation at that point.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Like that's the mood he gave off. But that's like it for me in terms of real life. That was like the most fun thing. Now I'm just doing law school applications. My job has been pretty nice, so I get a couple of work trips coming up, but other than that,
is your job, is that something you want to go into? Like,
it's just like marketing PR stuff again, but it's like a nice fallback option. I wouldn't mind having a career in it, but like I'm still trying to get into law school. It just depends on how that goes and
nice.
What kind of offers I get.
Cool, that's exciting.
So how about yourself?
So I haven't really played much RuneScape at all, and I haven't been able to keep up with much just because school started, and I thought it was going to be like, oh, it's like my first year of school was pretty easy. I had like a 90 average. That's not even me going hard. Like a lot of the stuff was like, hey, if you complete this assignment, you're going to get like 100% just for completing it. It'd be like, I don't know, do a 30-second commercial, record it, have music, and have some sound effects. Even if it sounds like shit and the music is like way too loud, you'll still get 100% if you hit all those 3 spots. So it was like really easy. And I thought the second year would be kind of similar, like pretty chill. And it is for like work wise, but I've kind of realized I got to get my ass in gear. And like, if I seriously, cause I want to work in podcasting, right? So
yeah,
and that's kind of like a hard career to get into. And if I want to get into it, I really have to like go hard. Like this is my year to kind of set the path up for when school's finished.
It'll be the year for Dilz.
That's what it seems like. So like the first bit was I have co-op coming up, or like a placement program, which is what happens is next semester. So in January, you have to have a co-op in place where you spend 3 hours once a week. It's like every Thursday you're spending with some company or whatever and helping them and shadowing them and learning from them. And you got to do that for like 10 weeks. So it's like you have to get like 35 hours worth. That being said, if you can get a co-op earlier, and if you can get a co-op that, you're going to be working like maybe full time, they're like, you know what, you can do that. And we'll find a way so you can still graduate and pass all your classes while still working like full time at like a co-op internship kind of thing.
That's pretty cool. That's a sick system, actually. Yeah,
they're the instructors are really cool like that. So I started building like almost like a demo reel. Like I got a SoundCloud account, and then it has all my
your mixtape.
Yeah, my mixtape basically. And then it was like, okay, start sending out and harassing all these, not harassing, but you know what I mean? Really annoy these people with emails so that they respond to you and know that you want to do an internship with them. Yeah. So there's a few in Toronto, which is only a couple hours from me. It's actually an hour and a half or so. And there's a few there, like the CBC is a good one. And then there's a few other podcast networks that do some really good shows. So I was sending out my stuff there, and I had one guy who was like, if you want to chat, we can talk about it. And we can, because they're like a newer podcast network, and they're not really doing like the co-ops, but they're like kind of interested. So we did a phone call, which was actually more like an interview, and I didn't realize it because when I called him, there was like 5 other people on the line.
Oh wow, yeah.
And like we talked, and
sucks.
It was like, for me, it was exciting because I was like, oh man, this is much more serious than I thought. Like, and then they seemed to like my answers with a bunch of stuff, and they just wanted to hear my work. So then that's when I was like, oh crap, I gotta get this mixtape together. And then I sent it to them. Now I gotta wait for them to listen to it and get back to me. But I've been talking to my instructors, and they're like, hey, if you have to leave Ontario and move somewhere else to do your internship, like, go and do it. We'll find a way to make you graduate. Because one of my instructors, she did the same thing, but went to David Letterman when she was in school.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and she said, like, the only reason she has the career she has now, and she's done like a bunch of stuff in TV, stuff on radio, she's done a bunch of like just a shit ton of things. The only reason she was able to do all of that was because she had an instructor who was like, we don't normally do this, but since you got to David Letterman, move to New York or whatever it is, or wherever he does the show, and we'll just figure out a way to get you to graduate. But that's way more important to do.
Yeah.
So because of that, she's doing the same thing with us. So I was like, oh shit. So then I've been sending it out to like Gimlet Media, which is I listen to a bunch of their shows. They're in Brooklyn, and there's a few that are in California, actually, in San Diego, that I've been trying to get in touch with. I don't know if I'd actually move there. That's a big.
Oh, nice.
It's a major step. But anyways, that's why I've been so busy, because I'm like, shit, I have to really send things out, get things ready, and yeah, things have slowed down though. I got everything in shape. The biggest thing was getting the SoundCloud all nice and sounding nice with a bunch of decent stuff. And then now that that's finished, I just have to send the odd email here and there and wait for someone to get back to me, which is why we're, I'm more free to sit down. That's why it's been so long. So I'm like, shit, I really got to focus on all this stuff.
Nah, hell yeah, dude. I'm glad things are looking up.
So far so good.
I hope that interview turns out well, though, and I'm sure you'll let me know how it goes.
Yeah, it should be exciting.
Yeah, maybe next episode we come back and you're like, sorry, it's been so long. It's been another 2 months delay, but I'm in San Diego now. I'm working with Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, man, imagine.
Yeah, well, that would be pretty sick if you could turn this into... Did you mention, like, you host a podcast on a video game?
Yeah, like, I'll drop it. I'll be like, hey, I got some experience because I've been doing the show for a while now. And like, when I was talking to one of the guys, they're like, it's great that I'm doing a podcast, but like, they also want to hear... They don't want to hear just the podcast. They want to hear, like, how diversified are my skills, I suppose.
Yeah. So you're going to go into like ASMR next and audio dramas and stuff?
Oh, how did you know? We're going to add a new segment onto the podcast where it's ASMR RuneScape.
Perfect. I have a friend who every time we're on Discord, he just comes in and goes, just does like really weird noises and stuff.
God damn. They have an ASMR RuneScape video. Some girl, it's
your interest is peaked now.
It's weird because it's like, it's got a shit ton of views, obviously, but it's like, it's barely RuneScape related, but it's called Old School RuneScape ASMR. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, is it the one by GB? Whatever her name is? There's one that I remember I was talking to my buddy when he first started doing it, and it was like a Tutorial Island roleplay kind of thing. This is so off topic already.
Yeah, GB, and it's just like, yeah, it's like girl just talking, and she's not even playing RuneScape.
Yeah, it's like her role playing is like the Tutorial Island instructor.
God damn.
Yeah, that's how I spend my weekends. I just sit there and watch ASMR videos on call with like 5 dudes.
Sounds interesting. I'll try anything twice, so count me in next time.
Other than that, have you done anything in game?
No, like not really at all. I haven't even streamed or anything because it's been crazy busy. And when I am on, I'm basically smithing and kind of doing work on the side.
That's the beauty of the game, though. Is like you can go from no-lifing it and like doing a lot of focus-intensive stuff, and then if you don't have that kind of time, you can always come back to it and just like AFK some stuff and build your account that way.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes if you only have like a couple hours, like let's say like an hour or two to play, for some reason I feel like bossing feels like kind of a waste when you only have 2 hours of unwinding in general. I might want to watch some TV too. So bossing you out of, for some reason, if I just feel like I'm not getting that much out of it. But if I AFK something and then maybe, I don't know, catch up on my YouTube videos on the side.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like your ASMR old school.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But you know what? I'm really looking forward to the new quest that's coming on Thursday because I don't know. I've like fallen in love with quests.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it does the Fremnick story, the storyline justice. Like hopefully it builds on that.
That's that's one thing that I've really got hooked on, are like the storylines and stuff. It's from doing the that hardcore Iron Man I was doing, reading all the dialogue and stuff. It's like, I don't know, it got me so much more involved in the game, I guess.
Yeah. You just reminded me, like, your smithing grind. I just forgot to take note. Because like, when you mentioned that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were sick at one point, and then we had to delay recording by a bit.
Yeah, that was last week. Oh, man, that was shitty. Yeah. I
started taking, like, notes, so I just remember what I've done since the last time. So you just reminded me. Smithing grind. All right, yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to record last week, but I got some sort of bug. Like I was just really sick, or I have no idea what happened, but we had to do a presentation in front of the class, and I was like pretty sick that day. So my mind was all foggy, and I hate public speaking too. I don't know why. Especially if it's like a class of people that I'm familiar with.
It's the most common phobia in the world, so.
Yeah. But I have no problem doing it if it's like random strangers. It's easier for me to do, but a group of my peers. Anyways, I was really sick, and then as I was doing the presentation, I like literally, like, I just like completely forgot the whole presentation, and then I started having like a panic attack, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore," and I had to tap out. It was weird, as I've never had that happen before.
Damn, it sucks.
It is what it is. But yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I have my notes here. I'm still dry, in real life and in game. No, but that was something that Deegan and I used to joke about all that time. It's just like, are you still dry? Yeah. But anyway, I've done so many raids, and I've never been this dry. It must be like over 100 dry, but
like just no. Are you getting uniques, or are you just not getting big uniques?
Nothing. Haven't seen any uniques in like over 100 combined raids, like Chambers, Theater of Blood, everything. Like,
damn.
So that's been. I've seen one unique in the month of September, and that was like a Justice Shard piece. That was like a 7 mil split, and then and some learner mass drops, but those are like 500k each. Like the split is tiny, but. I've been doing a lot of like speed runs, and I've been doing no prep solos. So
no prep solos. What does that mean?
Yeah. So like in a Chambers of Zarek, you do a solo, but you go in and you don't like prepare any potions, anything. You just like go in with the potions you have, and you take them into Ulm. And
so like no farming or anything.
No farming. You don't build a chest. You need like the right kind of layout for it to be worthwhile. But the idea is, I'm trying to get a sub 18-minute raid in a solo, which is like, you need the specific layout, but it's really fun to do. And if you do Ulm in a solo and you do it like a certain way, you take 0 damage. So you only need to like bruise for overloads pretty much. And if you have a Sank staff, like half the time you're healing more than you're taking damage.
Okay.
Actually. So yeah, when people talk about like solo 4-0 or stuff, that's the amount of hits you are dealing compared to the amount of hits you're taking. So in a 4-1, you hit the melee hand 4 times, and you take 1 hit from Ulm, so to speak. So,
okay, interesting.
I've been practicing them because like I have a bunch of buddies who do like speedruns, and they're chasing like the world record for Chambers. And so just like when we go together, we've been just like trying to get the fastest time and stuff. It's hard to coordinate because you need like 8 people to do the fastest possible setup. But yeah, that's pretty much like most of the raiding I've done is just like solo, no preps. And I've been doing some speed runs and stuff with buddies. But then I also did a bunch of skilling. I got my smith and grind out of the way from the last time we spoke. I remember now that was the skill and grind we were both on.
What did you need to get?
I needed 83 so I could boost up to 88 for my master clue and also for lumberj elites. Which gets me on to my next thing, which is I got lumberj elites, and that is the best diary I've ever seen in my life. That set of rewards, so nice, dude. So nice.
Is it the Drummond staff that really nails it for you?
Well, it was like I didn't even look at the rewards when I was doing it. I was just like, oh, I have these skills now. I might as well just train smithing up and blah blah blah. And I put the rewards in the back of my mind. So the moment I got it, I skimmed past the congratulations, you've unlocked this, and now you can do this. I spacebarred through it. So I just walked around for another 30 minutes, discovering all the rewards for myself. I was like, wait, I have an extra block task now that I can use on my Slayer grind.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I don't need a Drummond staff when I do anything with Fair Rings. And my Explorer's Ring is, better now, and I can use it to Alch and Slayer tasks. And there was one other thing that I remember I was, super amazed by, but I can't remember it now. So it couldn't have been that good. I got 77 rune crafting. It's always
nice. That's
nice.
That's a huge milestone to hit.
So nice. It's so much nicer. It is
that's
nice.
Almost bigger than 99.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I didn't even from 70 to 77 I barely did any rune crafting. I just literally did a bunch of diaries, and then for my last bit of experience, I did the fossil exhibits in the museum.
Yeah, right.
Which is super, super cool. Because if you do Slayer and most people block fossil island wyverns, but I keep them on. They're free points and they give you fossils. And then just doing things like volcanic mine, or if people train with ammonite crabs on Fossil Island, or if they do herbivore, you'll get a lot of fossils that you can use to get museum exhibits in Varrock. And every time you finish an exhibit, you get the lamp for XP.
Yeah, you need 4 different fossils to make one set, and they're really good to save up, because now I'm not sure if they've ever went back or they've expanded on it, but when they first came with Fossil Island, the weeks prior to it being released, they talked about how they want to bring out a demi boss that unlocks after you've filled out every single exhibit with fossils.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've that's ever going to be a thing, but yeah.
I don't know if it should be that when you fill it up, it might be I think what would work is if it was something similar to Hespori, so you can go back to it every time you have enough fossils, and it's a time gated thing. So it's okay, now I have, or Scotizo is a better example, where you you get the 3 totems. So it's not really gated by time, just how much effort you put into it. So you assemble 3 pieces together and you can fight them once, kind of thing. And it could be like that, because if you wait until you finish out the entire museum, that takes so long, considering you need 4 or 5 fossils every time. It sucks to clean them as well, because you have to clean each one that you find before you can assemble things in the museum. And then when you clean it, maybe you need a small skull, and it turns out to be small ribs or something. You're damn it. Yeah. And you have to go back and get another small fossil somewhere. So
it is a pain. That's right.
And then lastly, I got the gargoyle pet a few weeks ago as well.
Oh, sick. That's an awesome pet.
700. It is one of the coolest pets in the game. It is so nice.
Yeah, that's sick.
And what's crazy is I was on Discord with a couple of guys, and I was I alt-tabbed to my Discord to check something, and I got the notification sound from Moonlight, and I checked back and I got the pet, and I freaked out with them.
Oh, no way.
And then, a buddy of mine was I don't know why you're freaking out so much. It's just a pet. And then the same call, an hour later, he goes and does the gargoyle task, and he gets the pet as well. And he starts freaking out. And I was you're so full of shit.
Yeah.
I was just I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know why you're freaking out. It's just a pet. And it was super cool to see. But
it is one of the best pets. I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it's up there.
Yeah. So chalked another one off the list. I think I came up with this pun when I got it, and I was another one bites the dust. So now I'm just gonna have to figure out a bunch of puns for every single pet. So if I go for Sire next, Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be impossible.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Anyway, that's been my couple weeks in a nutshell. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. That sounds like an eventful week.
Yeah, a little bit. Now it's just a matter of just grinding out more skills. Doing, what am I trying to do? Mining, but also I also did fishing trawler. Ironically enough, after we started talking about how dead it was, and I got all the angler pieces.
Oh, sick.
And now I realize where my RNG is gone, because I got like 4 pieces in like 6 runs. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's disgustingly lucky. That's probably why I'm so dry.
Yeah, it's it all evens out in the end.
Oh yeah. So that's pretty much it for me, though. I don't want to take up too much time talking about random stuff.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Before we get into the news, actually, another thing that I was doing this week was I was jumping on and playing some Last Man Standing. Ironically, a very focus-heavy activity. Lots of fun. That's actually a lot of fun, but there's not many people doing casuals, but...
Oh, yeah. Is everybody in competitive now? Because I Last Man Standing's been, revived now, which is nice to see, but yeah. I didn't know they were all doing competitive.
A lot of them. It'd be 10 people tops doing casual, but that's enough. It's still, it's fun. It makes me want to get good at PKing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice because it's good hybrid practice as well. If you want to learn tri-breeding and stuff.
Oh, it's really good practice. I was doing it a bunch, and I noticed my skills getting better, which is always nice. Well, anyways, but really before we move on to the news. It is it's weird because this episode's pretty late, but this is a big episode because September 1st is the birthday of the show. So it's we've just turned 3 years old.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we hit the third year anniversary. Now we're going into the 4th year. And normally I would do a survey to see ways we can improve. I'm going to try to put one together. But it depends how this week really goes, because I'm going to try really hard to get this podcast episode out. And so I might be throwing out a survey out there if you want to fill it out. But what's even more exciting was about a month ago, more than a month ago, I was on the Discord for artwork. For RuneScape artwork, and I ended up getting a logo commissioned from someone. So they made their own original logo for the show for us.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even know there was an artwork Discord.
Yeah, there is. I was searching around trying to find I was I want to get something commissioned. I tried before with a friend of mine and my girlfriend's who's a graphic designer. I try to get them to do it, but the only difference is she doesn't play video games, let alone RuneScape, and it was really hard to get that old school RuneScape vibe from it when they don't really. It's as a graphic designer or anyone who does commission work or freelance work, the worst, you don't want someone to be like, can you make the design look more old school RuneScape-y? What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, we're trying to capture that classic style.
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta show me this thing, though.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I've been wanting to. I was waiting till 144 to kind of throw it in there, but it's
that's really oddly specific.
What's that?
144 is in 3 minutes from now. Wait, no, I'm tripping. It's 7:44 where you are.
No, I mean episode 144. I meant I wanted to wait till this episode, which would be the 3rd year anniversary episode, to actually throw the new logo up. But it was done by Fenric, FENNRIC on Twitter. I mean, if you ever want some work done, they do some really good stuff.
Nice. Nice plug for them.
So there's 2 of them. I'll cut this part out, but you can take a look if you want. Here's one of them.
That's so sick. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I was pretty. I was impressed.
That's pretty disgustingly sick, actually.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit! And man, the guy charged. What did he ask? It was like he wanted like $5-10.
Really? That's nothing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, that's so cheap. So I gave him like a big tip. Like I gave him like a $20 tip, and he was like, "Wow, that's a huge tip." And I was like, "Dude, you could sell this for like way more." Yeah, $10. Yeah, so I'm gonna be throwing that up there, and after this episode's out there, so you can take a look, and it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's basically. I'm sure there's probably so much more missing, but screw it. Let's get into that news. Okay, so I've been away for a couple weeks, and it's been hard to keep up with all the news and all the community chatter. But Magpie, you've kept up to date with everything, right?
I've been trying to keep as up to date as possible. Yeah,
better than I have at least. So, if you want to lead this one,
yeah. Well, we got to go with the big one to start. So, old school RuneScape leagues,
big leagues.
Yeah, good catch, because I actually forgot about this in the intro. Basically, it is a new game mode, so I will let Jagex do the introduction for us. What if you could be the first player to get a fire cape, or defeat the Barrows brothers, or max your account? Leagues is a brand new game mode that's your opportunity to start from scratch in a race to be the first to complete major old school achievements. But there's a twist. Each limited timed league has its own rule set designed to test your skill, your determination, and your old school knowledge. Level up as fast as you can, complete tasks, and earn points to customize your experience. You'll have to use all your skill, knowledge, and determination. Pretty sure they've already said that. Oh yeah, they have. To build a workable strategy before someone else snatches victory for you. Are you ready for the ultimate old school challenge? Let's find out. The way it works is there is a task system. Stripped of your items and levels, you'll have to complete hundreds of new challenges in ways you've never thought possible. Conquer a variety of tasks to gather points for relics. Break free from the meta and strategize your every move. The more tasks you complete, the more points you unlock, and the quicker you can prevail. They also give a picture of the league tasks. 73 completed out of 1,000 in that picture. Nice meme, Jagex.
I get it.
You just know, like, up there in corporate, they're like, how do we get people on board? Let's just stick some memes in there.
It's like, yeah, someone's like, yeah, the kids, they love the memes. Put
exactly.
Number 70, they'll love it.
Yeah. There's actually another meme stuck in here, because for some reason they're like different letters.
I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't get what that means.
But the whole like Jagex customer support meme.
The which?
So somebody complained to Jagex support that they lost their account. And I don't know if like some intern was just like typing like, hey, XYZ, because they always say like, hey, XYZ, sorry this happened to you. Please feel free to reach out via email, blah, blah, blah. But someone like accidentally pressed send or something, and it was just 2 letters, HE, and just heh.
Okay.
And that was their like official reply to someone whose account has been hacked.
I've done that. I'm sending an email and accidentally send it early, and I was like, shit.
So for some reason, there's like an HE meme in there in the league tasks as well. So nice memes, Jagex.
That's fair.
Good job, fellow kids. There's also a relic system. The path to victory has twists and turns like never before. From the very beginning, you'll forge your journey and set yourself apart from your opponents in order to complete as many tasks as possible and unlock relics, each more powerful than the last. Choose between buffs, such as double resources or automatically bankable resources that last for the rest of the league. But be careful, once a relic is chosen, there is no turning back. Choose wisely, think quickly, and trust completely.
So you complete a task and then you can choose a buff?
So what I think it is if you get like a certain number of tasks complete, you unlock a relic, and it's like a one-time buff that you choose, and then it lasts for the rest of the league. So every time you fish something, it'll automatically bank everything for you, or every time you fish, it gives you automatically double the fish. So
cool. Okay.
we'll be able to like discuss the league and task system in depth. There's only one more thing, which is rewards. Valiant efforts in leagues should be rewarded with more than just a place on the high score page. That's never stopped somebody from shitting themselves, but fair enough. We will offer never-before-seen rewards for both leagues and the main game. Your league-to-league rewards will only persist in future league worlds. They're unlocked automatically based on which reward tier you achieve, but the cosmetic rewards that they're going to pull will carry over into the main game, and they'll be able to be purchased from an in-game shop in exchange for the league points you've earned. These rewards will be presented in a future poll blog.
Fuck
so
yeah.
Basically,
I love that. Sorry, that's sick. That gets me excited.
The league system or the rewards?
Mainly the way the rewards work. 'Cause the league system, it sounds interesting and cool, but I'm like, okay, if it's just whatever. But then it's like, no, you get your points and you can purchase cosmetics for your main account. I'm like, fuck yeah, that sounds fun. I might actually do the league system then.
It sounds cool. So we can go over this like holistically now because we broke it down section by section like the poll blog. But basically it's just like almost like a Game Pass that we've seen with things like Fortnite, games like those, where it's just like each season has its own meta, I guess. Something like
yes, that's right. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people compare this to Path of Exiles or even like Diablo. Yeah,
that's the other big one. And actually, the thing is, Jagex actually just did an FAQ, like a quick Q&A on Reddit about this, where they addressed a lot of information that they didn't mention here. The first one, which is the most concerning one, is leagues going to be polled? They say no because it's like a seasonal game mode, just like Deadman mode, so they do not think it has to affect the main game. The only thing they poll is things related to the main game generally, and so they will poll the rewards, but they will not poll the game mode. And then they ask, isn't this from Diablo/Path of Exiles? And Mod Sween replies, that's not a crazy comparison to make. So it clearly feels like that's been an influential point. You don't need to make a new account. You can use your account. It'll just be like Deadman mode where the progress doesn't transfer over. And then how long the league lasts varies. It varies from league to league. So they might do a few months to a few weeks. The first one will be 2 months, apparently. That is pretty much the main point of the Q&A that they did. But what do you think about like the whole system of having like a Game Pass mode?
Where it's like a season. Each season has different tasks with different rules. That on its own, I was like, that like it's a great idea. You look at like, I don't think Fortnite and Apex Legend and even like League of Legends, like tons of games do this. League of Legends, like MOBAs do this. These new battle royale games that are all the rage these days. Jesus, I sound so old saying that.
Yeah,
and like the JRPG, no, not JRPGs, ARPGs like Diablo 3 and Path of Exiles. They're all doing this because when you get a game that's very grindy, it's a lot of people the average person hits a wall and they get kind of bored, like my account's pretty high. I have 2,100 something total level. Most of my skills are above 80.
Yeah.
And now like all my grinds are taking a long time. Like all my goals, they take a long time to do. And it's really easy to get burnt out. There's a lot to do in RuneScape, but it's still, RuneScape is very goal oriented. And when you set a goal like me getting 91 smithing, 96 fishing, it takes a long time to get that unless you're like 2-ticking or blast furnace. But, not everyone wants to do that all the time. And which case it is easy to get burnt out. But having these seasons, it's kind of like Deadman mode. What Deadman mode did was every season was like refreshing. People went in, it broke up the grind, and you started fresh again. But the only difference is not enough big changes happened to Deadman mode to make it feel fresh. Eventually, Deadman mode became another grind cycle where it's like, okay, back to the same grind, same thing over and over again. And people got bored. At least with this type of season, it'll, you're kind of working towards your own goals. Like, I want to get, like the examples they give is unlock 10 Slayer tasks, you get 1 point. do 25 Slayer tasks. It's another point. So it's like that for me. I'm like, oh, I suck at PvP and I don't have the most game knowledge, so I might get my ass kicked in Deadman mode. But I like Slayer. I could easily do a Slayer task and complete those. But I think that a big worry would be that this is mainly meant for hardcore players. So like the game mode looks pretty fun. I love the way the reward system works because I used to play Guild Wars 2, and one thing I loved about Guild Wars 2 was there'd be these like sort of events. They weren't really seasons, but they were more like a limited time event. And when you completed it, you unlocked like a cosmetic that you could keep on your account. And it was just a cosmetic. It didn't do anything, but you felt like you earned it. And now that it was gone, you're like, I can never get that again. So when the next event came out, you're like, shit, I really want to focus on this next event because the cosmetic looks really cool and I want that. Some people are going to think that's a bad thing, but for me, that's just another goal you could have for RuneScape. So that's something that would excite me. Like the cosmetics cool for a season. I'm going to be like, hell yeah, I want that. And then I'd play and then I'd have, my account starts at level 3 again. And it's satisfying to kind of go through these. So I'm digging it. And plus I love how you can, what did it say? League to league rewards. So you have rewards that stay on your seasonal account. That's sick. Cause then you got like two different accounts going. That I don't know. I really do like that.
Yeah.
But
that's like totally perspective changing for me. Because I was going to be like against this and say like, it's going to be dead content, blah, blah, blah. Like it's going to be unpulled, which is a big issue in itself. And it just seems like Jagex are throwing things at the wall. But I never really considered the whole burnout thing. Because I was looking at this from like experienced players' feedback, which has been like, why is this necessary and stuff. But this could be a pretty cool way to bring people back and stop that burnout. The one question I did have is why couldn't they have introduced a seasonal thing to the main game instead? Why couldn't they have like done something where I'm going to harp on about this because I like will constantly fight for this, but why can't they just revive dead content in the game and then for everything that they revive have like a seasonal thing where you get like a cosmetic from it? So
like
I just
like
did a
reviving
fishing trawler.
Yeah,
fishing
that's a good
trawler,
example.
Trouble brewing. A lot of the agility courses are dead content since the rooftops came out. Things like that. You have a lot of mini games that are not touched, unless you're like a really niche Iron Man or you like. I'm thinking of temple tracking, stuff like that, where it's like, imagine they did this thing where it's like a seasonal thing that you get league points for. Imagine it was like a Game Pass system or whatever, but the points carry over from season to season, even though the meta changes from season to season. So one season, it's like you get double points from doing Trouble Brewing because they just did a big overhaul and they're like, hey, to celebrate the new Trouble Brewing update, why don't we just like make double points for this thing? And then they all unlock cosmetics from the same reward store. Or like, something harmless, like spins on a Squeal of Fortune kind of thing, Just...
that doesn't hurt anything. I would love for them to go back and revisit some old content as well, but I think the reason this one works a little bit better is because if you feel pressured to have to do one certain piece of content like Trouble Brewing to unlock, the seasonal cosmetic, it might just like add to the burnout where like I don't like doing smithing, but I'm gonna do it because I want the whatever the diary it is that requires it. So I'm pressured to do it, and I am doing it. Whereas having all these different tasks to complete, you can kind of pick and choose. You're like, everyone loves Slayer, so it's like, hell yeah, I'm going to start all over again from level 3. Let's go kill some low level Slayer monsters, or let's do some farming contracts. That's another one that they have as an example. Or it might be, I don't know. I have no idea. It might be like get 10 kill count on the Dagonoth Kings or something.
Yeah.
So you can kind of pick and choose yourself what you want to get. And I don't want to say it's lazy doing it this way, but it's kind of an easy way to prevent someone from getting burnt out, because as your account gets higher, you're going to start like me, like my account's higher. I can do more stuff, but I feel obligated to do these long grinds, and getting like 91 smithing, it can take a long time. That's a bad example, but like fishing, getting 96 fishing takes like a long time, but I kind of want to do it anyways. But knowing that I could start this account that I have here, that's a high level, it's 124. I could go onto a seasonal world where he's going to be back at level 3. And I don't feel like I'm not gaining progress on my main account, because I know that there's a reward that I can transfer to my main account from playing on the seasonal world.
No, I definitely get that. And like, it is nice, because I was saying I had a change of perspective, because that's the things I was going in with that idea of, oh, this is going to be dead content, blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm willing to go into it with an open mind. A lot of what you said was something I didn't consider, which is that casual players might enjoy this.
Yeah, that's because I was reading the subreddit as well, and people were like, "This is going to be a game mode for like the hardcore players," and I saw that too, and I was like, "Man, well, whatever. It's just not something I'm going to play. Maybe I can watch people on stream do it." But then, as I was like reading it, and the rewards, I kind of just brushed over. I didn't even fully read it, and then when I read it, I was like, "Oh shit." That reminds me of Guild Wars 2, and it's an aspect of Guild Wars 2 I really liked. But that being said, RuneScape already has so many cosmetics, so how do you release cool cosmetics that don't infringe on like the graphic style, like without crossing over that line that brings us to RuneScape 3?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like the big concern seems to be that it's going to be geared towards hardcore players. And I don't think there's enough in it for casual players to get in, because what if you're not interested in the cosmetics that come out? Automatically, your biggest incentive is done. And also, I think the big thing is Jagex keeps like mentioning, casual players or newcoming players. They have a lot of data on this, I'm sure, because they do a bunch of like focus groups, surveys. But who are these like casual players? Are they players who used to play in the past, who've come back, which I'm 99% sure is the case? Or are these like totally new, like 12-year-old kids entering the video game like world for the first time and trying out a new game? I know there are some of them. I know there's at least a couple of them who've never played anything like RuneScape before, and they've come in. But yeah, that definitely being said, most of the one of them is also a living legend in his own right. Shout out to Bob. But like, most of the players are casual returning players, and the returning players want to progress their main account, surely. So this doesn't like, if you spend half your time online in a game mode where your progress doesn't carry over into the main game, except for a cosmetic that you might not even like.
Yeah. I don't see this game mode as bringing in new players. I see it more as a game mode that either it prevents people from getting bored and like quitting. Like one thing that does keep me playing consistently is like the community we have and like the podcast itself. But like, sometimes I don't feel completely compelled to play. I'm just like, I'm not really. Sometimes you'll get on a grind and you're just not enjoying yourself so much. Then you find yourself playing less and less. And I could see this like coming out to be like, hey, your account's really high and you can do lots of bossing, but this is why a lot of people make an Iron Man, because then it kind of gives them the different goals to work towards. It's like the item to grind out. Whereas like for myself, it's, saving up like one bill for a piece. Sure, you can get lucky and get something, but that's like a very daunting grind, and it can seem so far away. And that's why something like Last Man Standing I really like, where you can break it up and like, I want to go do some PvP where it's gonna kind of get my skills better.
Yeah.
But I see this league mode being a thing that's like, I'm getting kind of bored of the grinds on my main. I'm gonna start fresh, but I'm still gonna be on my main, and I'm gonna work on maybe getting the seasonal items that are going to carry over, or I'm going to get the cosmetic for my main.
I have a theory for this, actually. Now
Cool.
that you mention it.
Yeah, I don't see it being like Deadman mode where it's like someone's streaming it and they're being like, wow, that looks cool. I haven't played in 2 years. I'm going to play now. But I could see someone being like, I quit my main. And
you totally just like took my theory because I was going to say
it. Sorry.
I was thinking this was going to be the new Deadman, and you instantly came out with this won't be the new Deadman. But my thing was like, what if this is all just for Twitch streamers? What if this is for people on Twitch to stream?
Like I see it. The only people I can see it bringing to the game are the recently quit players, and they quit because their main got too boring and they didn't want to start all over again.
Well, maybe it's like how Deadman was the streamer exhibit for PvP and stuff, and it was like, oh, I remember PvPing. Oh, that's so cool. He declawed the hell out of that guy. I remember that. Let's check out OSRS again. But this is like the more holistic PVM, skilling, PvP, all that stuff combined, which is what OSRS is, the more sandbox version. So now somebody checking out Twitch streams can say, oh, like, this game seems nice, and what's this guy doing? He's like searching Barrows chests. I remember Barrows. I remember woodcutting, blah, blah, blah. And I know that that happens in Deadman as well, but fundamentally that was a PvP thing. And my big theory is this can go one of two ways. It's either going to be like a streamer, unless I'm proven wrong, and it's obviously massive, but it's either going to be a streamer's paradise where Jagex is going to try to push it as a big streamer thing, or it's just going to be dead on arrival. Or maybe not on arrival, but it's going to die a slow death like Last Man Standing initially did. Yeah,
and I think it really boils down to how cool are the cosmetics that I'm willing to spend my 2 hours after school grinding out my account on the league mode. I try to get into Deadman mode every season, and I'd play it for like a week, and then I'd like realize, oh, you know what? I just can't keep up, and then I would just quit. So,
well, yeah. What if this would happen in here too? Then,
yeah. What if? Yeah, right. That could be. What if it says right here, it's like 10 Slayer tasks gives you 1 point, 25 Slayer tasks gives you 1 point. What if it's like 1,000 points just to buy the cosmetic, right?
Oh, I don't think it'll be that extreme. Hopefully,
but
surely no, but
couple hundred where it's like, where I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, 10 Slayer tasks, I can do that. But what if it's like, hey, if you want to get this, you're going to need to play a lot. Like you're not going to be able to just you're going to have to do like 500 Slayer tasks, or you're going to have to do like a bunch of bossing. You're going to need to get level 99, in which case I'm going to be like, well, there's no point in me even trying to grind out the cosmetics. I'm not going to be able to do it.
I've had this idea in the back of my mind. It's like a very nihilistic idea for RuneScape, not just old school, but RS3 and going back to before they split. I think Jagex, in making RS3, everyone knows they tried to make it more like your average MMO because the grind was just too big for the casual player base. And in doing that, they lost the niche player base that was basically not only keeping them up, but that was like the liveliest part of the community. And only when they brought back OSRS did they realize, like, we just need to keep this player base happy, and we'll have a set number of steadily growing players. And that's what they've been doing. But I think since the mobile release and stuff, they've been focusing so much on growth, the new player experience, poll blogs, and things like making agility free to play and stuff, where it's clearly now they've shifted focus back into new players. And they're having the same discussions, I think, internally of like, the grinds are too big for your casual player. We need to find a solution. And Deadman used to be a fine solution, but now, because Deadman was so broken for so long, they're hoping leagues can be that casual hook for your average player instead of like your dedicated RuneScape no-lifer ranked smithing. I'm fighting back the urge to make another pants joke, but
I think you might be right there, because with mobile releasing, we saw it was consistently over 100,000 players. Since then, it's almost dropped back down to normal, like how it was before mobile was released. Like I'm looking at it now, 73,000 players on.
Nice meme. Yeah.
So I could definitely see them being like, we didn't do a good job at retaining that player jump. We were given a huge ticket, and we just didn't do
it kind of thing.
Sort of like they just didn't do a good job of retaining that huge jump in players. The players jumped up and their account got high enough, and then the mobile player got bored.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, we'll have to. I mean, they have all the data. They'll be able to read like mobile players got bored, or your average player did this, and that. Maybe they find out that like all the new coming players who've never made an account before. Because what I assume it is like they're looking at the data and they're seeing how many like super old accounts were accessed for the first time after the mobile came out. Mm-hmm. How many brand new accounts were created. And the other thing I think also that might be an issue is what if they're inflating the data using like the bots? Because bot farmers used to take advantage of like the 7-day free trial thing where they would constantly just get free membership. So maybe Jagex, like without knowing that at the time, turned around and said, there's so many new accounts being made, but we're not being able to retain them after a week. And it's like misleadingly, like misinterpreting the data kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It is tricky.
This is a big rabbit hole, but ultimately, like tying it back into leagues, we won't be able to know until more info comes out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right that it's either going to be really good, a really awesome update, or it's going to be very lackluster.
Only time will tell. You know what time has told, though?
What's that?
The results for the old PvP poll blogs.
Oh, snap.
That was a segue right there.
That's pretty solid.
We back. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Was this a vote no because PvP, or did the community prove us wrong? So
I think the best way to handle this, considering there's so many like PVM related or PvP related poll blogs / like poll news posts, is just to handle them in a batch. So basically we're like, let's address the 3 big ones, which is the Last Man Standing additional rewards poll blog, the Bounty Hunter poll blog, the announcement that they were going to delay the Bounty Hunter results, and then the poll blog, or not the poll blog, the news update that basically talked about polling PvP. So starting with the LMS additional rewards that we went over last episode, like a year ago, basically almost every single thing failed. Only one thing passed. Nice. And I can't remember what it is. So
yeah, let me see if I can go to the run into a poll booth. Let's see.
Yeah, I was just logged in.
More rewards, was it?
I
see it. All right, speed rounds. Let's do this. Should we add tradable imbue scrolls to the LMS reward shop? This will be an alternative way of imbuing your rings instead of Nightmare Zone. It failed. That's surprising. Question 2. Should we add a tradable teleport tablet that teleports you to level 33 Wilderness to the Last Man Standing reward shop? It passed. Question 3, should we add an ability to purchase a token from Last Man Standing as described in the blog? This token will allow players to reset the number of spellbook switches on the magic and max capes. No, it didn't pass. None of these passed. So should you be able to purchase an Oculate necklace attachment? It will half the magic bonus, but double the magic accuracy. That's interesting. Purchase a Dragon's Tear. When used with the Staff of the Dead, the staff will have identical stats to the Staff of the Dead, but with a special attack that fires a magical ball at your opponent, hitting similar to a ballista special. The special would cost 65%. Surprised that some of these didn't pass. There's the next is the Runic Orb of Binding. It will allow players to charge it with a minimum of 100 nature, earth, and water runes to activate it. All runes stored in the orb will be lost on death, so it's basically a one inventory slot for snares and entangles and all that stuff. The Runic Orb of Teleblock, same idea but with Teleblock. Nope. The Runic Orb of Fire. This will allow you to hold 100 Wrath, Fire, and Air runes, so you can do your Fire Wave or Fire Surge. Yeah. Nope. The Ethereum Scroll. When combined with the bracelet of Ethereum, 1,000 Revenant Ether, and any of the Recipe for Disaster gloves, you'll get an Unworldly bracelet. The bracelet will have the stats of the gloves that you used. So basically, you can use the Revenant bracelet plus Barrow's gloves. Purchase the ability to unskull using a scroll. Didn't pass.
Nope.
Ability to purchase an Amulet of Avarice upgrade from the LMS shop. Allows players to use a protect item prayer without draining prayer points. Nope. Should we add an ability to purchase clue scrolls? Nope. Should we add the ability to purchase an Elder Maul attachment that will give you +3 strength bonus and +10 crush attack? Nope. Should we add the ability to purchase the Thameron set? You would get top, bottom, and hood. You need 60 magic. Nope. Should we add an ability to purchase a taunt animation? This will play immediately upon killing a player. Nope. I'm surprised that last one didn't pass. That's a fun idea.
Yeah. I actually, side note, I looked at this and I was like, this is perfect. I am going to stock up on Elder Mauls and merch the hell out of them. Too bad I forgot to buy them when they were peaking, and I bought them at their highest point, and then the poll blog failed. And I lost a bunch of money, but it's the way she goes.
Do you know how much you lost?
Like 50 mil. It was not that big.
Oh, damn.
But that was like 5 mil on each one, I think.
Jeez. I like how you brush off. Yeah, it's no big deal.
Well, it's no big deal because it was like a calculated... Well, it wasn't really calculated. It was a dumb risk, but it was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to throw money away and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I don't stake or anything, but at this point, like, I just was wondering, like, hey, maybe they'll, like, triple in price or something. And they did not triple in price. But anyway, I think it's super clear considering the only thing that passed was a damn Dark Crab teleport tablet. This was a systemic targeted attack by the PVM community.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. There's a lot of times I'll be like, no, there's no real big divide when it comes to this sort of stuff. Most people vote on what's good for the game, but then you see some of these, and yeah, some of them were bad ideas. Other ones, they seem pretty fair. Like that taunt animation, that seemed like one that is very harmless, and if anything, it should be fun. But no.
So, let's stick a pin in that, because we're going to go right back to this after we mention the bounty hunter rewards as well.
All right.
So just to quickly go over the bounty hunter rewards, which I'm just going to fly through because they're going to re-blog this at some point. Cool. They were going to ask if people could own more than one rune pouch, if you could have an Omni rune, which I think we've talked about. We've talked about all of these before,
yes.
I think. But Dagon High robes be added as a rare reward from Laird's chest. And then recolors for certain things, like the Godsword animation. We've gone over this, definitely, because I remember complaining about how they wrote this down. All those stuff, Ancient Warriors weapons, Ostadius Warhammer, Vesta's Spear, Vesta's Longsword. They announced a delay on bringing this poll out in the main game because they wanted to retweak the Warriors weapons. Initially, they wanted to bring them just like they did in RS2, and then they realized it's a different game, the game's in a different place, and they want to address some concerns regarding how they fit into the current game balance. Also, the big question of, like, what should happen when these items are PK'd from someone else? Do they just drop as coins? If so, how much? And it might make them easily, like, abused. Let's say you have 1% left on your Vestas, you ask a buddy to PK you, and you get, like, the money back.
Yeah.
So, they also wanted to look at the Dagon High robes and see if they should reduce the stats and make them a little bit weaker and have them for a lower defense level. And then for the Corrupt Dragon weapons, they still want to look at balancing, and some people suggested it was too strong. So they announced that they will delay the bounty hunter polls until further notice.
Okay.
And this brings us to the PvP updates news announcement, which is which starts by saying this. There's quite a lot of talk about PvP and polling, and it hasn't gone unheard. Maybe that's because Jagex has been polling PvP nonstop, but that's good. That's like the old politician tactic of creating a lot of drama by accusing someone of something in the news, and then complaining that the news is focusing on other stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason why I wanted to rush through that is so your idea about the PvM community influencing the votes is still fresh, because they mentioned that for a long time the PvP community has been troubled about the performance of PvP content in polls, particularly about spite voting by PvMers. And they mentioned how only one reward passed from the LMS poll blog, and it wasn't even aimed at PvPers.
Yeah.
And they think that because of the mass differences in the levels of support from the poll, it might not be a matter of spite voting, because some of them failed by 46% approval. Some of them failed with 61% approval, so maybe it wasn't just a matter of spite voting. I don't think that's a good enough answer by Jagex. I think spite voting is clearly still a factor. Just because some people aren't spite voting doesn't mean it's not affecting the votes, I think. But
yeah, there's enough people spite voting that it's still a solid 10% or so, let's say. Or
yeah,
5-10%. Enough that most shit aren't passing. But also not enough people are spite voting that, yeah, as they mentioned, some get 60% and some are getting 74%. They're very close.
This is going to come off as really anecdotal, but every single person I talked to about this poll in advance of this episode said they voted no on everything just because it was PvP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially because I was trying to get people to vote yes on the Elder Mall, but they're sorry, we already voted no for everything.
You just got screwed there.
Yeah, that stays under the books. That's off the record. But anyway, in response, Jagex wants to retweak the way they approach PvP updates. And so they've decided to form, or they've started to look into forming a PvP council, which is basically, I don't know why they use this medieval language. We've worked with cabals of expert players and delivered various changes based on their recommendations. We could consider convening PvP councils to do something similar. This is all so Game of Thrones, don't you think?
Yeah.
Basically, they're just going to bring a bunch of sweaty PvP nerds into one room and ask them what's going to happen, and then halfway through they're going to cut it short because the room smells too much. But
yeah, okay, you guys switch rooms. It's the windowless room that they put them in.
Yeah. Okay. Let's make a note, Karen. Please, next time we're going to go for the most. Let's stack up on the deodorant. Thanks.
Let's keep them outside.
Anyway, so they have decided, or they've realized that an official PvP council would require a more thorough selection process with many questions to answer. Is this group of players going to just suggest content, or they're going to decide what should be polled? Do their decisions get to bypass the polling system? Who selects members of the council and how? How do we ensure that every type of PvPer is fairly represented? How should the council be moderated to ensure the game's best interests are at heart rather than personal ones? And should the council be a permanent feature? So they've also mentioned this will be a large project to organize and manage. So they need to be confident that a council will achieve what the community wants to actually make it worth pursuing. So they've started to reach out to industry peers with experience in player councils to share information about how something like this might be structured, which is actually a cool idea. If you get Jagex calling Blizzard and being yo, we've got this problem with sweaty nerds. How do you guys handle them? And Blizzard just goes, honestly, we just ignore that group.
Yeah, do whatever the fuck we want. And they just keep paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Jagex is damn it, that's our entire strategy out the window. Next poll blog announcement, we are eliminating polling from the game.
Yeah.
Honestly, this sounds like something that they're going to discuss in one poll blog and then resign to the ether from past experiences with Jagex and things like this. But I do know that they do a lot of stuff where they bring in experienced players. They ask a lot of high-level members in the community for their opinions on stuff. They did it a lot with Theater of Blood, where they brought people in to play test. There's a video by a YouTuber. I'm not big into the YouTube Twitch community, but he's pretty well known, so people are going to be angry at me if I forget his name. But it basically talks about it has gameplay from Theater of Blood when they were first brought in to test it, and how so much of the feedback they gave made it into the game, where someone said this room is way too easy, you need to, like, for main, double the amount of spiders that spawn in the room, make it happen more frequently. For the Nilocus room, it was like, this is way too easy, you need to make way more of them appear, stuff like that. And then that's how they made the content better. So they clearly do things like this when it comes to, like, advising people, but it's more so the scope of things. I'm talking your head off now, so I'll just say I think it's the scope of this PvP council.
No,
it's not just.
It's interesting that it's
I was just going to say, like, it's not just content anymore that they're, like, existing content that they're giving feedback for things to tweak, but now it's a matter of actually introducing new content in the game that they're being asked about.
Yeah, and it's going to be a hard one because, like, you know, there's so many YouTubers who are be like, I want this update to pass because it gives me more content. And so if you do this, like the high council of PvPers, if you have, YouTubers there like that make a living off RuneScape, they might not know what's best for the game, but they might like look at it as, hey, this gives me more content to push out. Let's try to get this in there, even if it's bad for the game. So now, so it's interesting that they're going to have to like focus on a bunch of different people, and hopefully they can be like aware of the issues that having a high council of PvPers, the issue that could cause. But at the same time, it's good to have.
Yeah,
because as you mentioned with the Theater of Blood, they're going to know things that Jagex, just might not notice.
I guess they mentioned that a little bit in terms of like, oh, how are we going to eliminate personal biases from actual, like, what's best for the game? So they're clearly like thinking about this sort of stuff. It's either going to be PvP content creators, I'm assuming, Torvesta, people like that, Manked Up Mage. Jagex loves Manked Up Mage from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. Just the people they have on the stage doing Dead Man mode, pretty much. They're just going to invite them to give their opinion, and then maybe some clan leaders. But again, do you really think they're going to invite Rot or any basically a lot of these big PvP clans also have a lot of ties with real world trading and stuff.
Yeah, so that's the thing where if you bring enough, like, you don't want to fill it with just just content creators, maybe having like one or two or three. You don't want to fill it with just clan leaders, especially from the same clan, but you might want to bring on a few of them as well. But you might want to just like, Jagex probably has like an idea of like, yo, this guy's looks like he's not in a clan. He just kind of keeps to himself, but all he does is PvP. We can tell he's got multiple accounts. We should ask this guy because he's not going to be, he's not going to be kind of siding with. Because it's hard when you get a council, right? I mean, fucking, this is so medieval, right? How often is a council corrupt and they're all just like, they're all just doing shit on their own and be like, yeah, no, we're not on this team. We're looking for what's best for the city. And then it's like, no, they're all working together and filling their pockets.
Yeah, why do they use such medieval language? Like,
I don't know. Do they merely suggest content for us to consider? Or do they decide what is pulled?
Yeah, exactly. Either way, though, we're going to have to wait and see. It's clear that there are some issues with PvP polling. I would argue that it's just people are dead tired of reading about PvP updates now. Jagex needs to realize that they can't flood the market and then say, there's been a lot of talk about PvP when the last like 4 poll blogs have been nothing but Last Man Standing, Bounty Hunter, blah, blah, blah. And then they've been talking about Din's Bulwark and Dead Man mode for like all summer, it seems. So I think a lot of it did come down to just Jagex like throwing so much at us that people just got bored and said, no, I'm tired of PvP content being pulled.
Yeah, and it's tricky because then Jagex is also like, well, shit, we keep pulling it and it keeps failing. We can't just ignore that. It's so tricky. I can see both sides of it.
It's always tough, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, as everything.
How they come out with this stuff, if they even decide to come out with this stuff, because ultimately, like, this might die, pretty much.
It might, yeah, and it might be like, you know what? Fuck PvP, fuck Dead Man mode. We're bringing out leagues. This is PVM centric, but
hell yeah. RS3, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, PvP is such an integral part to the game. It's just it's a really tricky spot, and so many MMOs have such a hard time with balancing PvP and PvM, which is like World of Warcraft. Classic's out now, and like they don't even have PvP right now. Well, they don't have the battlegrounds, but they have a stat that's like it's your defense level, or it's a defensive stat, but only for PvP damage. So they brought in a new stat, and in order to balance it, they just have a whole different set of gear that has this PvP stat tied to it. So it's like they don't have to worry about balancing PvM weapons and PvP, because they're just like, well, with this new stat, you need to get PvP weapons, right?
That's pretty cool.
So
that's a cool way to do it.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. Let me check real quick. Okay, so yeah, with World of Warcraft, you have defense, which is like your defense for everything, and then you have a stat called resilience, and the resilience is a character stat that reduces all damage taken from other players and their pets, and it's an only PvP stat. So then now you're obligated to get PvP gear, which means WoW Blizzard just needs to focus on balancing the PvP gear for PvP. So it's that's how they handle it. But the thing is, RuneScape's different, right? We got that's why it's really tricky.
I think like the best thing we can do is hope that Jagex finds the best community to address these things for, and we'll have to like figure out what happens. I do think a lot of it is just people being saturated with PvP content, so it'll die down.
Get kind of waterboarded, and then people are just going to say no. I'm going to say fucking vote no to everything.
Exactly. All right, let's move on from PvP updates into RuneFest.
Yay!
Something that everybody's excited for the most part.
Oh, that's coming up real soon. Holy shit, I didn't realize how... Sorry. Damn.
Yeah, it is coming 2 weeks from now. So, have you bought your RuneFest ticket? If yes, Wahoo will be...
Wahoo!
Cannot believe they just typed that out. Okay. But anyway, they announced the schedule. Could you look at the website real quick and tell me if your schedule is glitched like mine? Because right now I just see a really weird...
It's all black, right?
Black table, yeah.
Yeah, you have to highlight it. Someone fucked up.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, what the...
You have to highlight the it's like all hidden. I don't know what happened there.
Anyway, so there's going to be a main stage and a panel stage. The main stage is where all the magic happens. Drop in throughout the day to find the cosplay competition, the RuneScape keynote, the Great Gialanorian Bake Off. Watchers at home can watch all the main stage panels on Twitch, and the full main stage schedule is as follows. First off, at 10:30 BST, time to set sail. Join us as we set sail to shores old and new and take an in-depth look at Fossil Island and the new Land Out of Time.
Sick.
So obviously Fossil Island from OSRS, Land Out of Time from RS3. The Great Gialanorian Cook-Off. Watchers star bakers compete to produce a 3-course RuneScape meal from scratch in 45 minutes. Doable, not really. Entertaining, definitely.
Awesome.
That sounds like fun.
That's
sick. That honestly sounds like pretty fun if they have to make like... by the way, side note, there's a guy on Twitch who just live streams himself making all the OSRS food?
No! Who is this guy?
I can't remember his name, but it's actually really messed up because he's made like worm toad holes or whatever from gnome cuisine, and it's actually just like worms in a pastry. It's disgusting.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like the guy clearly I don't know if he has some kind of like social disorder or something, but he just maybe he just does it because it's whatever. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions, but if you're sitting there making worms and stuff in your kitchen,
yeah,
he actually bakes the worms into toad batter or whatever. Anyway,
but what I want to say about that Great Gialanorian Cook-Off, that sounds like it'd be really good. I mean, I love those those cook-off shows. I don't really watch them too much anymore, but I've gone through phases where you're watching, Canada's next top chef or whatever it is, right? If you go on Netflix, there's a shit ton of different shows like that. And I feel like having that at RuneFest could be like really enjoyable. It's
exactly.
It's something that could be fun for me to watch, but I could even see like me getting my girlfriend to watch it and enjoy it, as long as it's not too RuneScape heavy.
Here's the thing: is I love Gordon Ramsay.
Hell yeah!
I love, like, I once binge watched all his stuff. That's actually like my fun fact when like back in college, or like when you're in class and you're
the
introducing each other in like a discussion. Yeah, exactly. My go-to fun fact is always that I binge watched all of Gordon Ramsay's episodes of every single show.
Sick.
So I just hope we get some like content creators come up and like show their like actual cooking style. So you never know, maybe Wooks is like a master chef as well.
Yeah, and you get the host from Iron Chef up there.
Exactly. Yeah, you get like Gordon Ramsay, you get Binging with Babish up there.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he should totally make an OSRS. I think we've gone over this, but he should make an OSRS special.
Oh, perfect.
Anyway, after the cosplay parade at 11:30, join us live for the cosplay show and cosplay Golden Gnome Awards at 12 BST.
The cosplay parade, that's funny.
Yeah, just a lot of P's in there. Cosplay parade. Join us live as the best cosplayers in the RuneScape and old school communities compete for their chance to take home a Golden Gnome Award. Log into your RuneFest app to cast your vote in the best cosplay category. Nothing will beat the guy who had the animated Inferno cape from last year.
No way.
That's going to be super tough to beat.
Man, people are...
That guy was like...
super talented when it comes to making these costumes.
Yeah.
Like in general, you go to any gaming convention, they can make some real kick-ass costumes. And I'm not one who would cosplay and shit, but sometimes you just watch someone who's like, they spent all year making it and you're like, wow, that's you got some real specific talent.
Yeah, you can't knock the hustle. Like cosplay when done right, it's super nice to see like a really engaged cosplayer.
Yeah, it's really good. Have you seen the guy who went to a cosplay convention and he dressed up as like not a Varrock guard, a Falador guard?
Yeah, I did. That was pretty cool.
And he looks like all the stuff he's wearing looks straight from RuneScape, and it's just like, I don't know, it's perfect.
So out of place.
Yeah.
Next up is at 1 o'clock BST. It's the lore Q&A,
Sick.
1 p.m. It's back, and this year it's lorier than ever. Okay. Join Mod Raven and Co. for an intensive session covering everything you could possibly want to know about the lore of RuneScape. It's going to be, wait for it, loresome.
Okay. Sure. That sounds cool.
Exactly.
You didn't need to put lore, whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds cool.
You are a fellow lore hound, a lore junkie.
Only recently, too. Like before, I was like reading the wiki articles and trying to do it in game. I do it like the week before. Let's say I'm doing Lady Verzik. I'm actually, okay, spoiler alert, we're gonna skip lore this week because I just want to get this episode out. I'm so busy. I don't want to postpone as much as possible. But let's say I'm doing Lady Verzik. I would scramble around and try to read everything in game and on the wiki for Lady Verzik for that episode. But since I started that hardcore Iron Man, I've been so interested in the stories. I shouldn't say since I started the hardcore Iron Man. Since I did Dragon Slayer 2 when it was released and I read the dialogue, I was like, man, this is sick. And then with Song of the Elves, me reading that, I was like, shit, this is awesome. And then I've recently been reading a lot more often, like different fantasy books, and I'm like, really,
I'm just expecting in 2 years' time you're gonna go down to RuneFest and they're gonna make some event theme, and you're just going to be that one asshole in the audience heckling and going, bullshit, that wasn't in the lore.
Yeah, they would never do that. The elves would never trade with the gnomes because they were at war. And they never even signed the peace treaty. Yeah, I know what you mean. But
that would be pretty fun to see.
But I got totally hooked on the whole like fantasy building of
great.
stuff.
I wish old school did more of it, but
it's really good.
Regardless.
And but it's so easy to miss.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, regardless, actually, you took the words out of my mouth, because even if you are new to lore and want to get into it, you can check this lore Q&A out, except I think it's only for RS3. So,
well, it's kind of the same lore, because the good thing they have done is they kind of make the lore canon, where like RuneScape 3, they've expanded more on it, but it's because they're also in the future, basically, compared to us.
Further ahead than OSRS.
Yeah, so there's a lot more they've learned, whereas we're learning slower.
Up next, from 2 p.m. to 2:45, join some old school RuneScape content creators on stage as they answer all your burning questions, from life as a content creator to their favorite pizza topping.
Sweet.
Lasagna.
Yeah.
That's my favorite pizza topping.
Good old lasagna.
Yeah, it should be good. Let's see. Mythbusters. This is going to be pretty cool. Mod Osborne and Mod John C. are here to reveal the truth behind some of the biggest and funniest misconceptions from the community. I decided to I assumed that's how they were going to write it out.
Yeah, no
misconceptions from the community. Got a myth you'd like us to bust? Post it in the official forum thread. Ooh. I'm going to give you an example. For example, here's a common myth. Not all girls in the game are actually girls. You can thank me for that myth later. Don't get catfished.
What?
Can you imagine if they just came out with that?
What?
Actually, some of them are girls. We found one in the audience today. And you could see the spotlight trying to find one desperately, and
they're just
skimming through the whole thing.
Nah, my boyfriend just dragged me along.
Yeah. Well, okay. Next myth. Did you know that not all guys in the game are guys? And just crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, they're all guys. They're mostly guys.
You suck.
It'll totally be you as well. You'll just be sitting there heckling the lore stage, and then you're going to go right back into the myth stage and heckle both of them.
It reminds me of the Family Guy scene with Quagmire. He's doing stand-up, and some guy's like, you suck. And he's, yeah, I know. He just walks off stage.
That's probably how they're going to end this section, let's be honest. They're just going to walk away disappointed. I was gonna make another joke about my social life there, but let's move on. Up next, Ron plays games. Everyone's favorite game show host and who the hell's Ron, by the way?
He does
a mod?
No, I don't think he's a mod. I think he's just a Twitch streamer who I would assume is bigger than he is, but I think he's done a bunch of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But he'll have it all RuneScape tailored. And I know he's had some J-mods on before, and it was every question they got right, it was a bond. He did it by bonds, so then at the end of it, he'd have 50 bonds that he would give away to people on a free-to-play world or something.
Oh, that's pretty cool. See, that I didn't know there was a guy like that in that community. That's pretty cool then.
The way he does it, it's super legit. You're watching it, and you're holy shit, this is really close to a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire episode. He has all the interface and stuff.
I need to Google that then after we finish this, because that sounds amazing. I thought it was just going to be Bodhi in a wig or something, but
I want to make sure I'm not lying here.
Either way, everyone's favorite game show host and sheep enthusiast takes to the stage to bring you an hour of unadulterated, possibly family-friendly quiz show fun. And then finally, starting at 5 o'clock p.m., the RuneScape 3 keynote. And find out what you can expect from the next 12 months in RuneScape. Let's ignore that. Next up, 6:15 p.m., the other big one, the actual big one. Join us to find all the biggest updates coming in the old school RuneScape keynote.
Sick.
Boom. That is going to be the big one.
That is
going to announce
big
Raids 3. So Next week, I think, will be the last episode before RuneFest. We're going to make our predictions there.
So you said again?
Next week should be the last episode. Before RuneFest. We're going to make that like our RuneFest predictions episode.
Yeah, we'll have to quick fire it. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. I got to make sure I got that week off. Because I know we have...
the Fremennik quest as well.
Yeah, we have that coming up. But what I wanted to say was we have Zyra's. You might recognize him in the clan chat and or the Discord, who's going to be our live on the scene correspondent.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll be there trying to get some interviews and stuff. But I got to talk with him. We're going to plan something and see how we can do it. I think it would be cool to, I don't even know if you're able to do this, but do as if I'm streaming, we're watching the RuneScape stream together, but then also having Zyra's on the line so he can give us the details, what it's like, with the boots on the ground over there.
That would be pretty sick. Imagine we connect into the stream and we're like, okay, let's try and hit up Zyra's, let's see what he's found. And it's just we're waiting, he comes, and he's like, hello? Hey, Zyra's, what have you found so far? And he's just like, this place stinks.
Or he's really...
It just smells like gamers.
He gets really drunk and he's walking on stage and we're like, oh no, oh no.
Cut ties with him, he's gone rogue.
Yeah. It should be fun though. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. We'll have to figure out something. I got to make sure I don't have to work that weekend.
Oh yeah, that's going to be pretty sick. Lastly, they have a secondary stage, the panel stage, which is where you'll find JMods and content creators hosting talks on all kinds of topics. The annual lore Q&A with Mod Raven. Isn't that in the main stage as well? What the?
There's a few. I was looking at it. Some things are on both stages, so I don't understand.
Okay. So anyway, let's just plow through these. At 12 p.m., another slice of wiki. It will basically be the big wiki editors from the OSRS wiki talking about how they do their thing.
Cool.
1 p.m., bringing a creature to life. It's going to be like an art team panel where they show you how they try to come up with new creatures and how to design them and stuff and what their thinking process is.
Cool.
2 p.m., the making of old school RuneScape Mobile. As the mobile team talks about how they ported RuneScape onto mobile. That's probably going to be really technical heavy, but I guess if you're into that stuff...
Could be interesting to hear about the issues that they faced, right?
Yep. And then 3 p.m., so you want to be a streamer. Basically just a bunch of up-and-coming streamers talking about their journey and the process of becoming a streamer. And then the RuneScape annual survey results. The results of the RuneScape annual survey, pretty self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. A day in the life of a JMod, 5 p.m. What it's really like to work for Jagex. A Q&A section where you get to ask JMods from all different teams about their roles. And then the RS keynote reveal Q&A. So while the old school... That kind of defeats the purpose, but while the OSRS keynote is happening at 6:15 p.m., the RS3 keynote panel will be taking Q&A sections on the other stage, which kind of sucks if you're a fan of both games, but...
Yeah, true.
Either way, then they have... Then I think it's a glitch here, because then they just go back to 5 p.m. and it's just the RuneScape keynote and the old school keynote. So I think it's just finishes with the RS Q&A.
Yeah, I think that's it too. I think it's messed up. If you look at
this is a really, really bad...
I mean, so if you don't know, if you go on the dev blog right now, unless it's fixed by the time you hear this, it's all just black. It's a black background with black text, so you can't see anything. But what you have to do is, with your mouse cursor, highlight it, and then you can see the text pop up. So
yeah, this has been so hard to read in black and blue.
And when did this come out? 20 days ago.
Yeah, literally. I don't think it was that bad, though. I can't remember it being like that when I first looked at it.
Maybe Jack's got hacked.
Was it always that bad?
I don't know. I'm just looking at it now for the first time. But anyways, regardless, man, every year, RuneFest sounds like it would be an absolute blast to go to. I always expect, like, I love RuneScape, and the community is great and also interesting at times. But, you know, I'm always like, my first, what I'd imagine or assume the RuneFest would be
Your
like.
knee-jerk.
Yeah, my knee-jerk reaction without reading anything about it is like an older version of Minecon, the Minecraft conventions, if you've ever seen any cringe compilations.
Yeah.
Which is, but like, you know, every year I watch it and reading all these events, it's like I'm completely wrong. They seem like a blast. And it's something that I would love to go to next year for sure. Like having the cook-offs and having lore Q&As and like the Mythbusters and the keynotes, and they have open bar, but they have a bar that's open. Like it sounds like a great time. It's like I don't mean to keep going, but like it's kind of like, I want to compare it to the Area 51 raid that took place a couple days ago. Did you pay attention to that?
I did, yeah, and I saw a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like you have a bunch of people who showed up for the Area 51 raid, and then you'd expect it to be like kind of cringy, but then you realize everyone there is just partying and having fun. And
and that's what I was gonna say, is from what it sounds like, from like some of the glimpses that you see, it's like the whole thing is super cool, but then the parties they throw are like wild. I'm assuming they're listening to like genuine party animals in Jagex, because apparently they like get into a bunch of shit with their old like hosts for the RuneFest, because like the parties get wild or something and stuff.
And it's like not what you would expect from a RuneScape convention, and it seems like it would genuinely be a good time.
They're just all sitting there raving, like just going crazy off pills and liquor to Sea Shanty 2 on repeat.
Yeah. But it's nice, and it's like kind of wholesome, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the actual event is always like really nice. So it's like cool, because you expect like these conventions to be like all cringe or whatever, but it turns out if you have a bunch of people passionate about something, like they're all just there to enjoy themselves, and like there's almost never been a convention that's like been cringe. And the only time like people look at the Minecon thing and go like, oh, that's pretty cringe, at the end of the day, like they're kids, they're harmless, they're getting into the convention scene, which is like amazing to see at such a young age.
Yeah, and they're just having fun, and there's some cringy parts, but at the same time, these are just kids who are like putting themselves out there and asking questions to the developers. Of course, they're gonna, you know, do some cringy stuff. Like, you know, we all did cringy stuff, but I'm also not talking to developers of like arguably one of the biggest games in the world. Exactly.
So we'll see how it goes. It should always be super fun, excited. RuneFest predictions.
Hell yeah.
Are going to be pretty cool as well. Do you want to move on to some actual game-changing updates?
Right. Okay, yeah. Let's see what actually made it to the game these past couple of weeks.
Hell yeah. We'll start with the two small ones. Last week's update was super tiny. Basically, just two new things. A new teleport tablet, the only thing that passed the LMS poll, so the Dark Crab Teletab is now in the Last Man Standing store. They provide quicker access to Callisto and Venenatis and leave you in a single-way combat zone between the bears and spiders in level 33 Wilderness.
All right.
Basically, to the very far east, right next to the fishing spots.
Sure.
Also, POH costume editions, Mudskipper hats and flippers can now be stored in the Magic Wardrobe, and the stale baguette in the fancy dress box. That's pretty much it. There's new merch in the store.
Cool.
They have a bit about checking out old school RuneScape leagues, and Fremennik Exiles coming up. And in other news, PvP rotation is switching over to Period A. And the value of the Eternal Slayer Ring has been increased so that it protects over more items on death. Berserker Necklace, ornament kits, and the actual ornamental Berserker Necklace has been updated in terms of their descriptions to match the actual appearance. The Elven skirt variations no longer attach to the Crystal Grail or Ale of the Gods when equipped together. The 3 remaining Elven chat heads have been updated to match the style of the other elves. The spam filter now blocks the messages displayed in the chat box when players sing items in the gauntlet. A clipping issue with the observatory professor has been fixed. And a stretching issue when female characters created potions with the music cape equipped has been fixed.
All right.
So, tiny updates in the long run.
Yep.
The week before that is the big one. So we'll start with its POH advertising and PvP balancing. Let's get the PvP out of the way, if that's cool with you.
Sounds good to me.
Nice. So imbued god capes have been changed to behave as other untradables do and turned into a broken form when PK'd in PvP. Purdue will repair them for 75k each, but you can also use Trouvé parchments on imbued capes to turn them to allow them to be kept unbroken if you die past level 20 wilderness.
Cool.
Magic defense calculation changes. So we talked about how they wanted to change the way PvP magic defense works from 70-30 ratio of magic to defense stat to 50-50, just like Deadman mode. So they are going to put these adjustments into a beta that started last Thursday before they add them into the live game.
Cool.
And then lastly, and something that has been a big part of community chatter as well, which is the new POH advertisement board. So after passing at 91.5% in old school content poll number 68, the POH advertising board is here. Players above 50 construction can now advertise their house on a listing board beside the POH portals, and it looks super in-depth if you look at the GIF, but they basically explain it. The columns on the board show the owner's construction level, if they have a gilded altar, a portal nexus, a jewelry box, a pool, an occult altar as well, and if they have an armor stand. And then for each one of those, they also show the tiers. So let's say you have an ornate jewelry box, but only a second to best pool, it'll be shown in the advertising board. And I think if it's white, that means it's the best possible upgrade one. So you basically want to look for something that's all white if you want to max POH.
All right, cool.
The last column shows the owner's house location and allows entry if they're home. I don't know if this means that you can now join like Yanil houses in Remington or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Yeah, because they show in the GIF there that you can change the filter so only houses from this portal are seen. Finally, the columns can all be sorted from highest to lowest, and you can toggle the ability to only see houses from your portal, from the location that you're at right now, And you can right-click or long press the advertising board to visit the last house you were in if the owner is home. And the board can hold up to 200 advertisements per world. This is a really nice change that we were talking about, how you have a niche in your community. I know you're a big fan of player-provided services kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, if I could nitpick, I would say that having it as a birdhouse, as the board that you click, it seems kind of lazy.
Yeah.
I would have a little literal billboard, but yeah, I like this change. It seems good. It's better than having, bots and other people spamming outside the house portal.
Yeah, and I think the reason why they made it a birdhouse is because if it was a billboard, it would be a little not unrealistic, but it just breaks the immersion if it's just constantly updating. But the way I see it is in a birdhouse, you just constantly get birds from all over the different portals. The hosts are sending their birds to each one. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Yeah.
This moves us into what's been going on in the community, actually, because a couple of hosts have actually quit since this update came out.
Oh, the big time hosts.
Did you know that? Yes, they have announced that they will no longer be hosting anymore because of the backlash to this.
Okay, let's hear it. What happened?
Basically, it's not too much. The update has been mostly well received, but it's just, I guess, that some people have announced that they are quitting hosting just because of the new update making it harder for them to advertise their house, and it seems like it's not worth it for them. I'm trying to find the actual announcement that was made on Reddit. Yes, X-Grace and AFUL are boycotting hosting because of the update.
Oh, I actually recognize those names.
Yeah, so apparently AFUL is saying that the JMods didn't consult the the hosts before they made this update. That being said, most people are like against them. Most people are just saying they're being entitled and whining about nothing.
Sure.
And then in response, somebody made a massive wall of text. Have you seen this?
No.
Called The Ugly Truths About World 330 Hosting.
Ooh.
Basically, it is a super, super long wall of text that basically says that the reason why this change is good is because it stops these guys from having a monopoly. They're all basically in on it together, and that there are lots of these. There are lots of little money makers like these. They're like shady money makers that are still legal, but they're not going to be put on the OSRS wiki and stuff because they're to do with the community.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is hosting POHs. A lot of the times people host POHs because it's really, really good money. Like really good money. And so people get into hosting the POH. And this guy basically exposes them and says that they have like their own little secret group, and they time it so that just as one person finishes like a 16-hour hosting session, the other host that's well known conveniently starts theirs the moment they finish, so they don't like stand on each other's toes and steal each other's business.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of thing. They have a way of, this is all coming from this wall of text, which again is anonymous, but apparently this is somebody who used to be in that community and got burned on all the toxic drama. Apparently they have alts that are strategically placed so that they give themselves fake donations to make it seem like it's like etiquette or like a standard to tip or donate something to these guys. So if like it's been 30 minutes and nobody's donated, they're going to have an alt trade them like 50 mil and say, thank you XYZ for trading 50 mil. Like your donation is really kind. It helps me keep going. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the alts try to like name and shame people, or not name and shame, but just go like, wow, I can't believe nobody's donating. Let me donate because this is ridiculous. You've been hosting for how long now? And it's like sometimes they ask questions like, hey, do you make money? And then it's like a fake two-way conversation where it's like the same person talking to each other, but on a fake account saying, do you make money? And then the host goes, no, actually I lose money sometimes because I have to pay people and stuff. And it's all fake because it's all just made on alts. So it tries to get people to host, get people to donate to the hosts. So it gives some numbers. 90 to 95% of guests don't donate. So for these hosts, it becomes a battle to win over basically the whales, to use that term that I know you're familiar with, basically the big high rollers, to try and they scout these high rollers. They know when some people who are really rich log in to use a POH, and then they share the info around with their friends who are also hosting and stuff.
Jeez.
There's a big TLDR that basically says that World 330 hosting was incredibly toxic and needed to die a gruesome death. The recent advertising board played a big role in making that reality unfold. It mentions earlier this is because now anybody can host without having to pay, without having to try and get into the CC, so you don't get alts like talking over you and stuff. You can just advertise your POH and what it has. It was saying that contrary to popular belief, it's not as good as money as Vorkath, Zulrah, Raids, etc. They make way more money there with more enjoyable experience and a chance at a pet. And that, in this player's opinion, is better than putting on a fake smile and talking to all the world's loneliest players that sap all your energy for 10 plus hours a day just because they're winning Ancestral and there might be a chance of them donating to you.
Damn. That's all this whole underground world.
Exactly, just unfurled. It's like racketeering in Chicago all over again.
God damn, that's interesting. Well, I guess it's all over and done with.
This is probably 6ix9ine snitching on these guys as well.
You know, I've been seeing a bunch of
keeping up with that.
I see the memes. I have no idea why.
It's just this hip hop artist who like got arrested, and he used to be like affiliated with some criminal activity, and he was facing like up to 47 years in jail. But basically, he signed a deal that basically if he goes and snitches on everyone, he can potentially get his sentence reduced. So,
so he did.
He has been snitching like crazy. Yeah, if you want to, like, I'll send you a couple links after the episode.
Damn. All right, well.
Guys like snitching on like the most innocent people as well. They straight up ask him like, while you're in prison, have any security guards come up to you and ask you for an autograph? And he goes, no, none of the security guards, but one of the nurses did. It's like, what the hell? Why do you have to put that in there? What's she done?
That's funny. Oh boy.
Anyway, that is it for the World 330 host cabal. So they've been taken down by the victory of capitalism.
The POH mafia.
Free markets, I guess.
Yeah, fair. Exactly. Yeah, true.
Free markets, allegedly. But
shit, well,
who knows how this will pan out?
Well, I know there's more to the community chatter because you had slightly mentioned, but figured we'd save it for now, and that's the third party clients.
Oh, yes.
So I've been seeing a few posts on Reddit. Like, I haven't been super active on Reddit, so things have slipped by my radar, but I've been seeing people memeing and talking about how third-party clients are all getting banned, or not getting banned, but the idea that they might be banned, and that OS Buddy's doing something to get back into the game because RuneLite kind of took them down. They dethroned the client king at some point, and now RuneLite is what everyone uses. So yeah, what the hell is going on?
So, basically, this all started. Do you know if the other third-party clients?
I know.
Do you know of?
Sorry, which ones?
RuneLite Plus and things like that.
Yeah, I know RuneLite. Yeah. I've heard of those. Yeah, RuneLite Plus has nothing to do with RuneLite, and they just kind of use that name to. Yeah, that one's like a pretty sketchy client.
Quick heads up, RuneLite Plus is totally different from RuneLite. It is a separate third-party client basically using RuneLite's name with a bunch of extra questionable plugins. And these have been like really, really scrutinized by some players in the community. I personally disagree with them. They're basically called cheat clients. Mm-hmm. So it's an important distinction to make, and that's why I start with it. There's a difference in this conversation between your regular third-party clients, which are RuneLite and old OS Buddy, cheat clients like RuneLite Plus, and the vanilla client, which is just the basic thing that you download off the OSRS server. So in case somebody was confused about those three terms, that's generally what they refer to.
Yeah, so vanilla is the stripped down client with nothing. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, then
basically, or not so much the stripped down client, but basically with none of the features added onto it.
Yeah,
it's just the basic experience.
Yeah, and then you got RuneLite OS Buddy, or at least old OS Buddy. I'm sure we're going to hear more about that. They have features that are they make the experience they're the easier. It's like quality of life features, and then these new ones like RuneLite Plus. And other clients, as you said, cheat client. It's like they're not quite botting, but they're like right in the middle between not botting and botting.
Yeah. They're very, very gray area. So to give some examples, on RuneLite Plus, for PVM, they tell you so much more information that they basically play the game for you. They tell you, for example, the shaman blobs, where they're going to spawn. They tell you the fawn crystals at Ohm, where you should stand to dodge them. They tell you how many ticks it is until Verzik attacks. For example, for P1, P2, P3, it tells you when it's okay to go in for an attack or not. But also a bunch more questionable stuff. There's a left click option for pickpocketing, blackjacking Menifos thugs. Mm-hmm. So instead of the right click thing that people always hated doing, it's turned blackjacking into something really questionable because you can spam left click.
Yeah.
And you can get way better experience rates, which is game breaking. And basically there was an Inferno plugin at one point that told you what to pray flick in the Inferno. Lots of Theater of Blood, quality of life, quote unquote quality of life stuff. It wasn't quality of life, it just played the game for you. There's one plugin that shows the maze for you at SodaSag. So you don't have to worry about someone running the maze. It basically defeats the entire point of the mechanic.
Sure, yeah.
Things like that. And people trying to justify it by saying it's quality of life. I highly disagree. At that point, it's just playing the game for you. It's game breaking. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's...
And it's been talked about.
It's a bit too much. And
yeah.
And the one thing I want to mention about RuneLite Plus is, like, if you're listening, you're like, oh, I kind of want to use it. It's a sketchy client because of some of the add-ons it has, but also the fact that they're trying to trick players to download them by using the RuneLite name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they were a very trustworthy client, why wouldn't they just come out with a new name? Like, I don't know, Rune
just like
Player.
How OS Buddy. Yeah, OS Buddy came out and it had a different name than like RuneScape because they were like, okay, this is what we offer. We're being transparent about it. And then RuneLite came out and said, this is what we offer that's different from OS Buddy. They could have called themselves something like Rune Buddy, but they didn't. They called themselves RuneLite.
Or OS Buddy 2. You know what I mean? 2.0.
Yeah. Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
But regardless, there have been some issues in the past. People have constantly, if you go to any Twitch Q&A, there's a big copy pasta there of basically Jagex, please address third-party clients, please address third-party clients. A few months ago, like in June, Jagex released a statement in one of their Q&As, and it wasn't like an official statement, but basically towards the end of an episode. I remember because I'd watched the whole episode waiting for them to address this issue. And they basically said they were looking into it in terms of Jagex's higher-ups, and like their legal team and stuff were looking into the situation, and they weren't privy to that kind of information, and they're not allowed to share anything on the Q&A because they're just waiting for the official announcements and stuff.
Okay.
Basically meaning this is going over our heads, and this is way too serious for us to basically be able to like discuss at this point.
Yeah.
Since then, the clients have gone like worse and worse. After that is when the Inferno and the blackjacking plugins came out. And then recently, OS Buddy got a massive update. And the update basically turned it from a regular third-party client into a cheat client.
Oh.
So they're called quote-unquote enhanced plugins. So here are some of them. Enhanced blackjacking, which is basically the left-click blackjacking. Enhanced prayer altars, which is left-click prayer altars, so you can one-tick bones. Pretty groundbreaking. Left-clickable training construction. You can just left-click to build and left-click and spam the one button. Left-click logs to train fire making. Things like that. So they've basically turned themselves into a cheat client to try and get some of their fallen player base from RuneLite. And since then, like, the third-party client discussion has been ramping up a lot, especially on things like Reddit. I think Q&A had to address it at another point. And the problem is Jagex have straight up admitted before that they don't know what client you are accessing the game from, which is why botting is a thing. Because bots use their own client. PvP bot clients as well can automatically change your prayers for you and stuff if you're PvPing.
I heard that's bad in last man standing competitive.
Yeah. And Jagex can't actually track that because they don't know. In the current state of the game, they don't know what client you're using to log in, pretty much. And that's the whole argument behind not, like, worrying. That's what all the cheat clients say. Like, don't worry, you're not going to get banned because Jagex can't tell that you're using it. Some of them say that their clients are still, like, technically legal, and Jagex has never said no to the plugins, which means they're technically legal by their definition. So that's basically how they've been allowed to stay alive, because Jagex hasn't been able to beat them. And from a technical standpoint, the only thing Jagex can do seems to be to have a blanket ban on all third-party clients.
Yeah.
By basically making it so that if you don't access the game from using maybe some kind of DRM, not in the same way of like DRM in terms of Steam and iTunes and stuff, but just like if you don't access the game from that specific program, the game won't let you log in or something. Things like that to basically stop the third-party client issue, which might also potentially stop the botting issue. And it seems like a very valid question, except a lot of people have been saying that, like, they need RuneLight, because RuneLight is not so much quality of life as it is turning a lot of the BS from the original vanilla client into playable content, because you don't get 60 frames per second on the vanilla client. There's no GPU plugin, which means your resources on your computer will always be strained. It'll lag a lot more, and because there's no 60 FPS, it'll lag even harder. Things like bank tabs and stuff, these are things that I use as well. Really helpful things like that, that just help you play the game without playing the game for you, has been a big issue so far. In terms of being able to keep them and remove them. And my idea, I think I mentioned this before, is just incorporate RuneLight just like they did with the OSRS wiki, incorporate it into the vanilla game. So you have the vanilla client that you download, and then below that, when you go to download the client, it says this is the RuneLight version, or this is the upgraded version, which has these quality of life changes. And that way Jagex can monitor it.
I mean, at that point, it's almost like replace the vanilla client with RuneLight, maybe have all the features turned off RuneLight, so you'd have to go in and actually change them yourself. But and maybe the problem is you might have to, the resources from Jagex, you might have to have some JMods who are going to kind of overlook everything, like make sure everything's good on the client.
Exactly.
It's tough, but yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot of issues right now with cheat clients, and you know, people see it. Deadman mode tournaments, people would see it when someone's, you know, they're PvPing and they're able to like one tick switch everything before the dude's even like on the tick the dude changed his weapon. They can swap real quick. That's probably straight up botting, but still, you know. Who's to say that's not coming from the... Because I know there's been rumors of PvP clients that are going to do it all for you, or ones that they blow up Barrage, so it's like the size of your whole inventory. You click it, and it's so easy to cast a spell, right?
Yeah, and that's in cheat clients as well. I think that's in RuneLight Plus as well.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to go into all the features of RuneLight Plus. Like, it's pretty extensive how game breaking it can be, but
yeah, it's something that like, if you use it, you have to, if you plan on using it, do it, and be, as long as you're okay with your account getting stolen or banned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's safer not to touch it.
Yeah. So as of now, there's no concrete answer, but basically there are rumblings of things that might be coming to change it. And apparently Jagex is getting pretty close to announcing something.
Man, wow. Not much has happened this month, but at the same time, a lot has happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing has been happened, but it's like everything's just around the corner. Everything's being teased right this month, but that's huge. Yeah, that's a big... Yeah, third-party clients, they're you kind of need them at this point, right?
Yeah, what do you do? What can you do?
Yeah, it's a weird situation, but we'll have to see what Jagex actually pulls out, and I'm sure whatever answer they have, there's going to be someone pissed. So we'll see how that's for sure. We'll see how that turns out. Oh, quick thing I want to mention that I saw that happened. When Last Man Standing came out, was released, there was a bug where players were able to get onto the Ancient Magic spellbook without ever having completed Desert Treasure.
Yeah.
That was fixed pretty quickly, but there was a time where, you're able to cast Ancients even if you didn't do Desert Treasure. That's it. That's all. Have you seen anything else in the community that went on?
No, that's pretty much it. Just the hosting controversy, the third-party client controversy. The community chat should just be the controversy section.
Yeah, it's a good section. All right, well, if that's the case, this is the segment where we like to teleport back in time to follow this game each week as the game was released. Right now we're in 2001 and September 23rd. And there's only actually one update that happened. and that is the release of Dragon Slayer. This quest has been designed with more experienced RuneScaper players in mind, so it's a fairly tricky one. To start the quest, go and talk to the Guildmaster in the Champions Guild. From there, you will have to solve a series of puzzles before traveling to slay the dragon itself. Only heroes who have proven themselves worthy by completing this quest can purchase and wear the best armor in the game. The new Rune Plate Mail Body. Yeah, the release of Dragon Slayer 1 and the Rune Plate Body. Big moments.
That's pretty cool.
It's interesting. Yeah.
That is pretty sick.
But yeah, okay. That's all that happened. That's all that happened there, because they're rearing up, and wow, nothing happened in October. That's unfortunate. Spoiler alert. Be a little bit before we come back.
There goes our content for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah. Whoops. Well, anyways, let's skedaddle over to the Grand Exchange. As I said, we're gonna revisit lore for next week. We were away from the show for a couple weeks there, so we got a lot to talk about. So yeah, Grand Exchange time. Tell you what we got going on, and that is Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/wild to get a free month and a free audiobook. Yeah, it's I got a Kindle rolling, and I finished reading The Black Prism. Fantastic book. There's like 5 of them in there. And now I'm on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's have you seen Blade Runner?
No, I haven't seen Blade Runner.
I haven't either, but people say it's a really good movie, and the book that I'm reading is what inspired Blade Runner. So yeah, so that's what I'm on right now. It's pretty good. I just kind of started. It's based in the future. It's most of humanity has left Earth and they've gone to Mars and the moon and built colonies there. But there's some people left on Earth, but there's androids that are just like people who live among them, and they're like very discriminated against. And it's about this dude who's trying to hunt down androids. He's like a bounty hunter for androids, but they seem just like people.
That's pretty cool.
It seems interesting, and I'm not far enough into the story yet to figure out why people hate androids so much, but yeah. So if that interests you, it's audibletrial.com/wild. And finally, another way you can support us is Patreon, patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Sergeant Turtle. I did actually, you and I, Magpie, we sat down and recorded a Ramble episode that was coming out early on Patreon. I've been so busy, haven't even been able to do these regular episodes, so haven't came out with a Ramble yet, but I had some people who were reached out to Rendy on Twitter asking if he'd be interested, and he was like, hell yeah, just get one of us to message him. So I am probably going to send him a message and let him know I'm a little busy at school right now, but I think things are slowing down. We might be able to sit down and record something, so that'd be pretty fucking cool. So yeah, you might have that to look forward to, but more on that later. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's our 3rd year anniversary, the anniversary show. But man, we have so much content to get through. It's been a big episode. And then
it always is.
Yeah, and then next week, prep before RuneFest. And the week after that, it's the post RuneFest episode. Man, we're going to be busy over here, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited to hear how RuneFest goes. I'm excited to hopefully be able to watch the whole thing live and talk to our on the scene correspondent, Zyras. It should be a good time. Yeah, but yeah, if you want to come hang out with us in game, you can do that at WildCC. Our Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Twitter is at The Wilderness RS. And email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, we have Discord. It's pinned on Twitter and Facebook. Magpie, anything you want to plug? I know you're not big into like the streaming, but I know you've streamed in the past a bit, right?
Yeah, I actually, unfortunately, can't stream at this place.
Oh, the internet.
My new apartment, unfortunately. Yeah, my new internet is as good as my old one, so I'll try to update that when I can.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. I basically have to say that in like a quiet voice, but hopefully, I'm like trying to figure out if I can get another internet service provider into the same apartment without like anyone finding out. But
yeah,
we'll find out. I need to figure out the logistics of internet cables and stuff.
Interesting. Okay. If you want to follow me on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/the Dilz. Like I said, I haven't been able to stream too much, but I was doing a hardcore Iron Man PvP only account, which was a lot of fun. I plan on turning those into videos. I actually, earlier today, had some time. I didn't have much going on, and I was like, you know what? I feel like, well, it was a little bit of, I started putting together one of the videos from that stream, also to free up some space, because these videos can take up a lot of space. Shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'll start putting them together slowly. And, but yeah, twitch.tv/the Dilz. If I do stream, it'll be like 6 p.m. EST to about 10 p.m. throughout the week. Hopefully I can get back to that soon, but I'm going to wait till like give it another week. But, yeah, you can always find that on Discord. I think that's about it. What song are we gonna do today? Let's do. You know what? We were gone for a few weeks here, so let's do the song "Long Ago," composed by Ian Taylor. It is the music track that is unlocked at Hazelmere's Island, southeast of Yanil.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we got analysis. The song is peaceful and relaxing. The song is peaceful and relaxing, using ocean wave sounds and a light-hearted piano. And we got some trivia. When music hints were first released, the unlock hint for this track stated it was unlocked on the fishing platform, which wasn't true. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Guess we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for sticking out, waiting a couple weeks there, but you know what? I'm hoping we can get back on track and back to the weekly schedule. Yeah, excited for next week's RuneFest predictions. We'll meet back
and
then.
For the Fremnic Exiles.
Oh yeah, that's big.
Don't forget that.
I'm pumped. I mean, Thursdays is a long day for school for me, but Friday I'll figure something out. Cool. How exciting. Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next week then. Thanks for tuning in and have a great week.
Take it easy.